Hey guys, just Jess and Mark here to kind of talk to you about something that has happened and shaken the WWE universe lately, and I'm sure you know what it is, and I've done a lot of thinking on it, and I kind of just wanted to know some of your opinions, if you could be so kind. But it is the death of Chyna. Now, for me growing up, there are about 10 wrestlers that I think of when I think of the wrestling that I grew up with. And it struck me in the heart when it happened. And just knowing what a huge impact she had on the way I felt about girl wrestlers, the barriers that she took down single-handedly, and just the lasting legacy that she has made. And now you can jump in, but I just feel like the WWE as a company has this unfair treatment of those who have kind of had a questionable personal life outside of wrestling. Rightfully so, they have a reputation to uphold. I completely understand that. I know that with their kid fan base and their kind of
their family, friendly product.
Yeah, I understand that when something like this happens and you know that someone has lived their life a certain way, they find it really, really easy to just write them off. Just not really care about them, not really push that we should care about them anymore because they died a certain way or what have you. And now I was talking to a couple customers at work, and even people who aren't necessarily fans of wrestling have an opinion on Chyna. That's kind of what I found. And it's not a very favorable opinion either. And I just really wanted to speak on how wrong I feel that is, because it just isn't fair to her as a wrestler and all of the great things she did for women's wrestling, for, just the company as a whole. She did a lot of good. And
I mean, to speak on what you were talking about earlier, where, they didn't really, up until her death, they didn't really acknowledge her. Like, they had, they acknowledged her in the sense that, she's on the network, you can look at her matches, she'll show up in, top 10 list or whatever. So they did, when it's relevant to mention it in history, they do it. But I know for the past, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, WWE and Chyna had a very strained relationship. And I know in the past, WWE has tried to kind of bring her back into the fold and offered her help, because it's pretty much public knowledge that she had a lot of problems with drugs and, was going through just, doing a lot of terrible things, to herself. And, we don't know why she chose to go the path she did. We can speculate, obviously. But, the reality is she needed help, and WWE did offer that to her. She would not take it. So I think the way WWE does it is, if you're not going to accept that help, if you're not, gonna go down that route, then they're not gonna try to, put themselves out there for you anymore, because they're offering it, and they've done this with wrestlers in the past, like X-Pac. He huge drug problem, throughout the past 10, 15 years. And then it was only recently that they, kind of came back together. They helped him get help, and now you see him every once in a while on WWE TV. He's not a permanent fixture, and there's still that history that, if you dig deep into his past, you see that there's, some stuff that they don't want to be associated with. But the fact that, he accepted the help, and he went through working with them, and that's what kind of helped their relationship get better. For Chyna, she was in such, a bad position through her own addiction and whatever else was going on for her, she didn't accept that help. So that can kind of, not explain or, make it right what WWE did or wrong or whatever it is. I don't think there is a right or wrong, but from a business standpoint and what they want to do with their product, because they already have so many links to drugs and stuff and negative things like that. As far as, the other things you were mentioning, yeah, she was huge on, making an impact in the business. One of the first true female wrestlers of the late 90s, when back then they were all just eye candy, just coming out, just made to look good. And there wasn't very many female wrestlers. There was like Chyna and Jacqueline, and really that's it. They were all just managers and coming out.
They weren't on the front line sort of pivotal characters as far as wrestling.
Yeah.
They were doing side backstage work and
or they were
that.
just, again, they were just icon. They were brought out because they look good, but Chyna broke that mold, and brought attention to women wrestlers, saying that, hey, we don't need to fit this kind of stereotype model look or, just come out and be eye candy. We can actually come out and compete and,
do
put on
things just
great
as well
matches.
as the boys.
Yeah,
and
do things just as well as the male wrestlers. So she definitely has a legacy, and even if WWE doesn't do a formal show or do some kind of, I'm trying to think of the words for it, but if they don't do something like that, her legacy is spoken. It lives on through the stories that the wrestlers that worked with her share. Because after her death, everyone spoke out. Everyone said something, and still, even to at this point, we're still hearing stuff about her and what she meant to certain wrestlers. So I think in the minds of those who watched back then and grew up watching her and that era of wrestling, she'll always be a vital part in that, because it's just like you, when I think of WWE at that time or WWF, I think of Chyna. It's Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H, Chyna, essentially.
Undertaker,
yeah.
But then you had Chyna, and she's just sitting there completely different, broke down all these barriers, and for me, that was a really strong figure that I hoped to, be like. I don't know.
Yeah.
She was tall, she was,
She's
not
tall.
really masculine, but, she had muscle, she had her strength. It was just really refreshing to see that, being a fan back then, being a little kid, a little girl, and saying that I don't have to be like everyone else. So it's just,
and that's the legacy she's going to leave behind.
I hope, because my concern is that her wrestling legacy is so overshadowed by her personal life legacy, and it's just, for me, in my eyes, I just feel like it's really unfair to her contributions that she made. So,
I mean, us wrestling fans will know it, and people outside of wrestling, yeah, they might know her from the stuff in reality TV she did, or her other ventures, but they're not the ones that are going to be tuning in watching wrestling. They're not the ones that are going to the shows. Everyone's going to have an opinion, but it's the wrestling fans that grew up watching her, watching that generation of wrestlers that truly appreciate what she did, and despite the struggles she had, despite her demons, we still recognize women's wrestling probably wouldn't be the same without her. Women's wrestling was grounded and has its roots in Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah, Wendy Ritter, and all those, early women wrestlers, and even people before them, too. But modern day wrestling, as we know it, you can definitely thank women wrestlers like Chyna, like Trish Stratus, like Lita, Ivory, Molly Holly, and, the list goes on. Jacqueline, those are the legacies. With obviously including Chyna, that will still live on. Like, no matter what kind of personal life stuff come out, as wrestling fans, you are appreciative of that because there's certainly been wrestlers that have done much worse, and we still cherish their wrestling legacy. So that's just my thoughts.
Same. I totally agree. So we look forward to hearing what you think. Leave us comments or messages or anything. If you have an opinion on this, we'd love to hear it. So take care.